Audio test, check 1, 2. Testing audio, check 1, 2.
Hi, Counselor Fatini. Can we test your audio, please?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. Counselor Tour, can we test your mic, please?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, members of council, we are reconvening our budget committee. We've had the chance in the first day to go through the Transit Community Services and Office of the CEO departmental presentations. Today, we have before us the Public Works, Engineering, Corporate Support Services, Planning, Building, Growth Management, and Legislative Services. But we also have delegations. So I think today, with the will of council, and I would note we have, for the clerk's purpose, in attendance, Councillor Santos, Councillor Fasante, Councillor Paleshi, Councillor Keenan, Deputy Mayor Singh, Councillor Power. I just saw Councillor Brar. She must be in and out of the room. And online we have to the clerk.
Through Mayor Brown, online we have Councillor Fortini and Councillor Tour joining us so
great.
far.
Okay, so I think with the will of council, we'll start off with the delegations and then move into departmental presentations. Today we have delegations from J. Paul Massey Singh, Vijay Kumar Singh, Sunny Ahmed, and Dale Liang. And so if we could start off with J. Paul Massey Singh.
Morning, Mayor Brown. Morning, members of council. Morning, staff. Thank you once again for having the Board of Trade here as part of these budget conversations. Once again, I want to thank you for the work that's gone into this year's budget. On behalf of the Board of Trade, we believe it strikes the careful balance with a proposed $111 increase that frames fiscal responsibility while still protecting key investments and operating funding to the services that residents and businesses rely on every day. Last week, in our various conversations, we shared some areas where the Board of Trade sought clarity on the budget process and in the presentation of the budget's key numbers. We appreciate the receptiveness for collaboration and making time to meet with us to discuss how we can work on these specific items raised in our commentary. My remarks today build on last week's discussion, but focus on a couple of key budget items, particularly transit. And I believe you'll be pleased to know that they come with no additional spending asks. As to why the focus in this area, based on our surveying of members and engagement with Brampton employers, transit remains a top concern in the business community. not only in order to get existing workforce to their locations, but also to attract the skilled workers that they need for growth, a particular challenge in a city as large geographically as ours, and one in which many key employers operate 24/7. As we mentioned last week, for employers in logistics, manufacturing, healthcare, retail, service frequency determines whether workers can reliably get to work, whether shifts can be filled, and whether businesses can operate efficiently. Even small increases in wait times, therefore, on employment-serving routes can have an outsized impact on workforce reliability and productivity. Our invitation to work with the City of Brampton Transit, with the City and Brampton Transit to identify routes of priority still stands, and we took up Brampton Transit's invitation to meet on a regular visit, as per Councillor Vicente's direction, having already had our first constructive meeting on this topic last week. As we look ahead, we also need to consider how we stabilize transit funding during economic downturns. Brampton is already a dedicated transit fund for mostly capital funding. It would be beneficial to explore how tools like an operating stabilization reserve, essentially a rainy day fund, could be used in a targeted, time-limited way to manage short-term financial shocks like the one we're having now due to ridership decline, similar to the one that the TTC used at the end of 2025. This means building reserves during stronger years so that they are available when revenues soften. This also means relooking at Brampton Transit recovery to cost ratios to ensure we're not overly dependent on fare box revenues. And finally, in turning to regional investments, the Brampton Board of Trade will be deputing later this week to Minister Bethlen Falvey and Brampton's Provincial Caucus about the need to prioritize funding for Queen Street/Highway 7 bus rapid transit corridor. While BRT projects may not carry the same profile as the LRT, this corridor is critical infrastructure for Brampton. It connects residents, students, and workers across Queen Street and Highway 7. The province scaled this project back to a 10% design, which risks delaying the corridor. We congratulate the city for earmarking about $4.2 million in seeing the rest of the preliminary design and TPOP to get this project as close to shovel-ready as possible, but are disappointed that Bill 17 has created yet another snag in this project by deferring would-be funding, resulting in this project being designated as inactive presently. That being said, I ask Council to prioritize advocacy on this project. If the project is delayed further, it may fall off the province's agenda entirely. If we cannot realistically fund this project with the tools we have at the municipality, then let us at the Board of Trade join efforts with you to urge the province to fund advancement to at least 30% design or bring the project as close to shovel-ready as possible. In summary, during this 30-day amendment period outlined in the Strong Mayors legislation, we ask that Council reaffirm its advocacy for full funding of BRT preliminary design and TPAP beyond the DC revenue realization, explore transit operating stabilization reserves, and prioritize routes for workforce mobility. The Brampton Board of Trade is standing by to be an advocate, convener, and partner in each of these initiatives. Doing so would send a clear signal to the business community that the City of Brampton is committed to our employers and is continuing to attract the businesses and workers our community needs. Thank you.
Delegation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you,
Moved
Council.
by Councillor Power, second by Deputy Mayor Singh to receive the delegation.
Thank you very
All
much.
those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to our next question. Vijay Kumar Singh, co-founder, Third Space Music.
Good morning, Chair and members of Council. First off, before I get into my thoughts here, I wanted to congratulate the budget team in particular for putting together what I think is an impressive budget, a 0.8% increase in the operating budget while still maintaining key infrastructure, key services. So, and I was watching yesterday, and I was impressed with Council, and in particular, Councillor Peleshi's fastidious review of our reserve balances. So, you know, I feel like this is what we elected all of you to do, and I feel very grateful for that. So thank you. As you know, I work at the Brampton Board of Trade, but perhaps more importantly, I am a lifelong resident of Brampton, and I've been a community advocate for at least, 13 years or so. I am the co-founder of a small nonprofit called Third Space Music, and I put together frequent local music events and a yearly concert with Brampton on Stage called Moksha. Moksha is an Indian classical music festival. It attracts audiences from across Ontario and even internationally. Yet the Toronto audience, the downtown Toronto audience, remains frustratingly elusive at times. Those with cars or access to vehicles, they're willing to come up, but those who don't tell me the same thing every year, that we would love to come and participate if there was more frequent service on the GO train to Brampton Innovation District GO. And it is that experience that is the subject of my deputation today. 7-day, all-day, two-way GO service on the Kitchener line, and why it's essential, not optional, for Brampton's housing and economic future. We often frame housing as a supply, or housing supply as a zoning or approvals issue, maybe even a DC issue. Increasingly, however, it is a speculation issue. Developers want to build in Brampton, and my role at BBOT, I have myriad testimonials to that effect, particularly mid-rise, mixed-use, transit-oriented housing, but too often those numbers don't pencil out. And yes, land and construction costs are high, but in Brampton, without frequent all-day transit, we will continue to remain comparatively less attractive than, say, Mississauga, Oakville, that are on the Lakeshore line. That calculus changes entirely with two-way all-day GO. We all know the benefits of reliable transit. I don't need to go through that. Simply put, transit certainty creates housing certainty. And that's the logic of major transit station areas as an example. And after the Lakeshore line, the Kitchener line consistently sees the highest ridership in the GO network, despite operating with a fraction of the frequency. Even more telling, ridership has gone well beyond pre-pandemic levels on the Kitchener line. This is also an economic development issue. Employers care about access to talent, and workers care about access to opportunity. Two-way all-day GO would allow talent living in downtown Toronto to commute directly to downtown Brampton, like the CFI as an example, strengthening our local economy. And this brings me to the infrastructure constraints along the CN Halton sub. I am pleased to see that the city's continued commitment to 7-day, all-day, two-way GO reflected on page 556 of the budget materials. I acknowledge the progress that Metrolinx is making on the third track. However, I am concerned that a 3-track configuration does not future-proof this corridor. A 3-track solution continues to force freight and passenger rail to share infrastructure. It locks Brampton into long-term capacity constraints, and by Metrolinx's own admission, the CEO of Metrolinx, Michael Lindsay, only guarantees a 30-minute service end state for the Kitchener line. The Lakeshore line has a 15-minute end state. Communities like Oakville and Mississauga on the Lakeshore line will benefit from 15-minute, essentially turn-up-and-go subway-like service on the GO train, electrified service, and Brampton, despite ridership demand that is growing, is asked to settle for less. It's not just about equity, it's about competition. So Minister Sarkaria is open to studying this, but with initiatives like this, we require message discipline from city, from BBOT, from the nonprofit sphere. We must speak with one voice to ensure that the province, after they study the third track, after that work is complete, that we look directly at a 4-track solution. And I want to congratulate council as well and staff on advocating so effectively for the LRT tunnel. That was a superior design option compared to the surface alignment. I believe 4 tracks is the new LRT tunnel. And we need to align on this together. So I respectfully request council to consider updating language in the budget communication to reflect a commitment to 4 tracks. Thank you.
Maybe we could have, I know the transit was not, is Heidi here? Maybe just, or Doug or Heidi, just to give a response to the lobbying that the city has been engaged in for two-way, all-way GO service. And obviously having the local transportation minister as a Brampton MPP helps us with our advocacy. We've been very successful working with MTO, and obviously this is part of the city's ambitions.
So thank you. So through the mayor, we do continue to advocate for all-day two-way GO service through Brampton, up to 15 minutes. It's always part of our advocacy efforts. It's, after the LRT extension, which, as was mentioned, that we were successful in getting funding for that program. Queen Street BRT and all-day two-way GO are the top 3 that we continue to advocate for. We do know that Metrolinx is doing some, at least, design work on both a 3rd and 4th track right now. But again, it's something that we continue to have to advocate for.
And I see Councillor Plushy would like to respond as well.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for your delegation. So when I started in 2014, it was promised to us in 2025, and it was pushed from a previous date. Del Duca came in as Minister of Transportation, and he pushed it to 2026. Now, it's great that we have a minister right here in the city of Brampton, but do we have a date yet? Because as of right now, the way it looks, it's not coming in 2026.
Yeah, thank you. Through the chair, we do not have a firm commitment on a date yet. We do know that they are going through the design work for that third track, and then the construction would then follow. We have asked, and Metrolinx has made a commitment to come before council. We were hoping sometime in Q1 of this year that they could come in and provide an update directly to you on the status of all-day two-way go, as well as some of the other projects that we're working on, and we continue to advocate for that. Hopefully we'll have some good news soon.
Thank you. Thank you for coming to highlight it, because we know that's the single most important transportation issue in the city of Brampton. Always has been, always will be. Two-way all-day go is a game changer for the city of Brampton. So thanks for coming and delegating on that. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Thank you for the delegation. Vijay, we have a motion to receive Vijay's presentation, moved by Councillor Plushy, seconded by Councillor
Mayor
Brown.
Brown, I'm on.
Oh.
Mayor Brown,
Oh, sorry, Councillor Tor, we didn't have you on the list. Councillor Tor.
thank you through you, Mr. Mayor. My apologies. I know I'm online, so sometimes you don't see the hand raised online. Vijay, just want to say thank you for that excellent delegation. Really well put on the importance of transit, not just for building the city, but I care about the jobs that are in the city as well. Just a clarification question, maybe to transit staff and to Vijay. Just a clarification on the third line versus the fourth line. Doug, like what do we see from from Vijay's delegation talking about Metrolinx and the CEO and saying that they cannot promise a 15-minute service with a third line? Like, do we have any indication of that?
Through the chair, so with a third track, they will, as Vijay mentioned, they will be able to provide a two-way 30-minute service. But because of the freight traffic that would continue through Brampton, in order to get to that 15-minute service, they need that fourth track. So basically, there would be two tracks dedicated solely for freight and two tracks dedicated solely for GO train service.
So Doug, does that change how the language we're using for our advocacy? I know we've been advocating for two-way all-day go, and we've been talking about a 15-minute service, but have we been prescriptive enough to say whether that's a third track or a fourth track?
Through the chair, I think it's something that we can review through our advocacy pieces, working with government relations, and make sure that we highlight that it requires that fourth track and that 15-minute two-way service.
Okay, yeah, no, it is essential to do that just so that we have the most effective advocacy. But thank you, Vijay, for bringing this forward to, all council supports this. And I would say every resident in the city of Brampton would really benefit from something like this in the future. Thank you.
Okay, motion from Councillor Plushy, second by Councillor Broad to receive the delegation. Thank you, Vijay. Our next delegation is Sunny Ahmed, Brampton resident, in regards to the removal of bike lanes on Howden and Dixie Williams Parkway.
Good morning, everyone. Happy New Year, everyone in front of me, everyone behind us. We are here going back in August of summer in August of 2024, when the bike lanes were being introduced along Howden Boulevard. We have issues with the cement curbs that are placed there, causing a lot of traffic havoc, especially by Dixie and Howden going south on Dixie and going east on Williams Parkway. The cement curbs, we are asking the city, we signed in 2 petitions since 2024, and we are not getting any, in my opinion, any positive response. I have to say thank you to Councillor Rod Power. He's been with us there from day one, trying his best to have following our petition to have at least the cement curbs removed. So far, that's not happening. The issue that's causing traffic havoc, especially during rush hour, either way along Howden Boulevard in the morning, of course, going east, and then south on Dixie Road, traffic is backed up from Dixie all the way to Williams Parkway. For those of us who know the city, that's a lot of traffic jammed up there. In the afternoon rush hour, likewise, the traffic is backed up from Williams Parkway to Dixie Road. Granted, there is a traffic light there by Vauden Street, causing a lot of congestion in that area there by the corner store. The concern we have, of course, is regarding emergency vehicle. During that time of the day, rush hour in the morning and afternoon, it's impossible for any emergency vehicle to get through. We are being told to follow the rules of the road, to pull over to the right when an emergency vehicle comes in or we hear a siren. Of course, with the cement curbs, we are not able to do so. So several times, I mean, it's an accident waiting to happen. Several times you hear the horn from the emergency vehicles blaring because they're stuck. They're stuck on the road. And so there are some major issues with that. We also see there was a survey that was done last year for the area in Ward 7 there along this area of Howden and Vauden and Dixie Road, Williams Parkway. A survey was done that showed 70% of the people are against the bike lanes. It also showed that 9% of Bramptonians ride bicycle. And I would say occasional riding bicycle. In the winter months, of course, nobody rides bicycle. And yet we're spending money clearing the bike lanes in the middle of winter where nobody rides bicycle. And in a lot of cases also, the bike lanes, of course, are cleared, but the sidewalks are not clear. So for me, for our group, we have a few of us here that signed the petition. We are requesting the city to remove those cement curbs. The bike lanes can go back to where they were before COVID times. That is okay. People still ride a bicycle, but we need to remove the cement curbs as soon as possible. Janice is my next door neighbor. She may have a few things to say.
Now, basically what he's saying, I advocate for people riding bikes. I'm not against that. But this particular stretch is an issue. There is backup. Even last night, I can count 40 cars between Williams Parkway and Dixie. And buses this morning, I'm trying to get my grandson to school, and it's taking me 8 minutes, which is like a 2-minute thing, because people cannot make a right onto Dixie Road. And the school bus is actually stopping there, so it's inhibiting all that type of travel. So it's just that area in particular, we would like the bike lanes to be removed, and would appreciate your consideration, because as Sunny said, we've been advocating for this for almost 2 years, and we'd like to see some action on that, respectively.
Yeah, all we're saying, remove the cement curbs, leave the bike lanes as they are, so the bikers can continue to ride. I ride bicycle. Local roads and whatever trails we have already is sufficient for me. Whoever needs to run, bikers, they ride on the sidewalk also. So all of the bike lanes are there. So I think we've removed the cement curbs, put the bike lanes the way they were at COVID times, and we're good. Thank you.
I have on the board Councillor Santos.
Thanks so much, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much for coming in to delegate today. Appreciate the concerns. Just a question for clarification. You shared that the concrete barriers should be removed, but then you shared that you want the bike lanes removed. So if I could get clarification on what you are suggesting.
Suggesting to remove the cement curbs?
Okay.
I think for starters, there are 2 curbs going at the corner of Howden and Dixie, going south and Dixie, really jammed up in the morning. There are 3 curbs on the east side of people making a right turn on Williams Parkway off Howden. They need to remove ASAP, and that will allow traffic flow It will allow all these hardworking people to get where they need to go in the morning and in the afternoon. Every one of us is, everybody's busy. Everybody's in a hurry. They're not, drivers are not coaches anymore.
So, thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor, so you support bike lanes,
Yes.
but not those concrete
Not the
barriers
concrete cement.
within that stretch
100%.
between Williams Parkway and Dixie.
Yes.
Are you aware of the Brampton Mobility Plan that was unanimously supported by council?
I'm aware of a plan in terms of connecting trails in Brampton, east and west. I'm aware of that, yes, but I don't see, if we remove the curbs, bike lanes remain, you know, people are still happy. Bikers are happy, we are happy.
So, and just, and thank you for that. A couple of things. So I think there is this misperception that people think that people who choose to commute or use their bikes are not hardworking people. They are also hardworking people and property taxpayers as well. Would you agree?
I think what I was saying is, the bikers don't pay taxes.
They-
No, sorry.
Yeah, so
I
I'm
should
gonna
clar-
have
I
to-
should
yeah.
clarify. The bikers who have cars, they pay taxes, but they don't pay the taxes for using the bike lane. We pay taxes for using the road with our cars.
So I'm just going to very quickly correct you on that. So there are people who own bikes across the city and use their bikes to commute in the city, which includes myself. I'm a property taxpayer. And I contribute to all of the infrastructure through property taxes that I pay. That includes the car that I also own and my choice to use the road infrastructure. Or it includes a choice by me if I do want to ride my bike and have property taxes also pay for that infrastructure as well. I think one of our challenges, especially, and I'll go back to the mobility plan, with the city of Brampton now growing at an exponential rate, the mobility plan very clearly states based on evidence and data, and I do understand that this is just one section that you're referring to, but the evidence and data demonstrates that we cannot build more roads to accommodate more cars. And the only way to alleviate congestion in the future in the city of Brampton is actually to create more options, and I would argue affordable options for people to get around in the city. And that includes transit, walking, biking, etc. Do you know that the only east-west cycling infrastructure to connect the various trails going north and south, so the Dawn Dome Trail, the Fletcher's Creek Trail, the Etobicoke Creek Trail, all of those north-south sort of beautiful trails that we have. Right now, the only east-west connection is Vaudin and Howden.
We're not disputing that. However, it's the congestion that is being caused on the particular times of the day, especially. I cannot even make a left turn into Leander because people are blocking. And it's inhibiting travel. And I think there are other options because there was a meeting, if you want to call it, at Bramalea City Center by the transit. They gave us 4 options, correct?
Yeah.
We haven't heard anything more about that.
Yeah.
Whether you use part of the boardwalk or, my question is, what was being done before you put the bike lanes down? How were people traveling? And I don't see an
Right.
exponential amount of people biking more than I saw. I'm in the area for 30 years, and this is really causing havoc.
So,
And the travel, as I said, it's those times when you have to consider people are trying to get to work, they're trying to make a right turn in Dixie, you have the crossing guard standing there, and you're frustrated. You're really frustrated trying to get onto the Williams Parkway. Even if I come out Leander closer to Williams Parkway, I'm again blocked because there are people who want to make a right and I want to make a left. So we're only asking for consideration to remove in that specific area. And as I said, there were options to put use the boardwalk, if you want to call it, in that specific area. And I haven't heard anything more about that option. That was last year.
Yeah.
So we're not asking to, get rid of everything everywhere, but it's just to get the traffic flowing.
Thank
Everybody
you.
is in a hurry. Everybody's trying to get to
Yeah.
work. Everybody's trying to pick up their kids after school, whatever.
Thank you. And through you, Mr. Mayor, totally get that. I drive a car, I ride my bike, I walk, I run, all throughout the city. I take transit as well.
Yeah, me
And
too.
all the different options are there.
Yeah.
And I know we're going to get into it a little bit more later on. But I would say that, and just a question to you, are you open to taking a balanced approach?
Of course.
Yeah.
That's what have been trying to do for the last, since spring.
Balanced approach is fine. For me, it's the simplest fix without spending additional funds. The city of, we're trying to save money. Remove the cement curbs and let the bike lanes be as it was on the painted floor. The cars will have access. Nobody's riding bicycle on the road. Cars will have access to it.
To make a turn.
Right.
they have to.
So just to correct you on that one, to say that has not been people using the infrastructure or the bike lanes, or that there has not been an increase, is factually incorrect. So based on numerous reports and data and evidence, we have seen an increase of people using the infrastructure because it now exists versus when it didn't exist, right?
But it will still exist. Remove the cement curb
Okay.
and the bike lane still exists.
Okay.
So,
So just a very quick question through you, Mr. Chair, to staff, just so that the residents know, okay, and I get it, I get the frustration, I get that Brampton was originally designed to be a car driving, suburban city. I get it. Yeah. And it's very difficult to start to introduce other options for commuting around the city. But I want to make it very clear that walking, biking in particular, given the affordability issues that we're dealing with right now, are the cheapest modes of transportation for people who cannot afford a car. So, question to staff, can I get clarification on what the uptake and increase of usage of the infrastructure has been, particularly along this corridor? And that's to include, if you could comment on the number of the usage increase, but also e-scooter usage as well as wheelchair. I've seen seniors using the bike lanes for their wheelchairs to get around, particularly in the area I represent.
Oh, sorry. Oh, you already is transportation.
Yes, through the chair. Question one, related to the uptake. I think with the barriers along that, the east-west cycling corridor, because it's connecting, our downtown to Bramalea, we've been seeing a significant increase. I think we reported, the numbers, last summer, fall, we're close to 150 users per day, which is a significant increase on all of our corridors. We appreciate that there's still something, a lot more that we're planning for, and that's the hope, is that that trend continues. With respect to the e-scooters, one important note that all of the operators shared with us is that there's a high percentage of trips that are occurring along these corridors. So along the corridors, along in that Bramalea area where we've implemented the cycling infrastructure, the majority of the trips on e-scooter, on that shared e-scooter pilot program, are happening along those corridors.
Thank you. And then a final question, just for clarification for staff. There's a lot of discussion about the cost of active transportation infrastructure. If I may ask, relative to our investments in road infrastructure for vehicles, what is the percentage of investment for active transportation versus actual roads? Or what is the budget for roads versus the budget for active transportation, if that's better? Just so folks can get some clarification in terms of where the money is going and has been going. Have I exhausted?
Through the chair to
I could
Councilor
go on
Santos,
forever.
I think we could perhaps provide those figures for you after the meeting. But just at a high level, to give you an example, our capital works proposed budget for 2026 is approximately $45 million. Now that will include replacement of sidewalk in certain situations. And our budget for active transportation is for new implementations, approximately $1 million.
So $1 million has been allocated in this budget for active transportation infrastructure. These are folks who ride their bikes and choose to do so, also property taxpayers and hardworking people. And road infrastructure investment for cars is $45 million. So just so folks understand the balance, given the fact that we're dealing with affordability issues, the cost to afford a vehicle, average cost to drive a car, average monthly cost is $1,300. The average monthly cost to ride your bike around the city is between $4 and $40 a month.
Yeah,
Thank you,
but-
Mr. Mayor. No further questions.
So,
Are we allowed
let's
to?
reboot that, yeah,
Yeah, so
but quickly.
I think
Reboot
Councillor
it.
Santos has finished her questions, but Councillor Power is on the board too. Councillor Power.
Thank you through the mayor. Sonny, what street do you live on?
Sorry?
What street do you live on?
Lime Ridge,
Limerick?
Rem Lime Ridge.
And how hard is it to move left-hand turns coming out of your street and going into your street?
Both ways, east or west,
East
right
or
or left, at least 5 minutes.
Right.
And today's drivers are not coaches anymore because everybody's in a hurry. So it takes a long time,
How long have you lived there?
40 years.
40 years.
40 years. I could come onto my street within less than half a minute. I can make a turn either way.
How many people live on that street have been there for almost the same
Long
amount of
time. Like Johnny's here. He's been there 30 years. You know, Janice is and Leander. She's been there just
30
as long.
years.
Most of us that signed the petition has been there for a long time.
Thank you.
Long time commuters.
Thank you. Through the staff, do we have specific numbers of e-scooters and bikes that are riding along Howden specifically? Not the corridor, not Dixie, Howden specifically. Thank you, Sonny. Thank you, Janice.
Thank you, Mr. Councillor. As Nelson mentioned, that number, an average of 150 cyclists per day, is exactly on Howden. We installed, as of last year, a counter on Howden between Vauden and Dixie, which seems to be the section that everybody thinks it's problematic. And that counter records, videotapes 24/7, and the numbers come from that.
And are you able to differentiate between a scooter and a bike?
Yes.
Okay, what's the scooters?
No, the camera doesn't. The camera counts everything that goes on the bike lane. The operators share their data with us in terms of the scooters.
Perfect. Thank you. No more questions, Mr. Mayor.
Can I make one final statement?
There's no more questions, but if you want to provide,
Just wanna make a statement.
yeah, there's no more, this is the question. We have the next.
Mr. Mayor,
next-
I'm on the
Count-
board.
Councillor Fertini, the next question is for Councillor Fertini.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sorry, been a little bit sick. I just want to say, like, so we have these bike lanes. We're talking about maybe moving them on the close to the curb. And we have this option. You know, I agree with these residents. I live not too far from there. To make left turns, and we've been there. It's just a nightmare. So I'd like to see how we could maybe at least do the option 5 to start at the intersection. I know it's a big budget to put everything on the curb. It's like
So-
about 5-6
so-
million.
So, Councillor Fertini, this is not the discussion on bike lanes. This is a delegation. Do you have a question of the delegation?
No, I just agree with the residents at this time, and then I'll wait for the budget delegation. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion from Sunny Ahmed, Brampton resident, for removal of bike lanes at Howden and Dixie Williams Parkway, moved by Councillor Powers, seconded by Councillor Tour. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to our next delegation from Dale Lang, Bike Brampton, regards to Brampton's vision in relation to bike lane infrastructure.
Good morning, Mayor Brown, members of council, staff, and residents. The Bike Brampton community and I am here to support the November 6th staff report on the cost analysis of the Howden bike lanes, specifically the implementation of option 4. Council is challenged to give this city a budget that is reasonably priced and fair for all residents, and we appreciate that. Council has to make tough decisions because we can't please everyone. All of you already know that tough decisions are uncomfortable. That's the nature of politics. I made the tough decision to cycle 7.5 kilometers here this morning in minus 15 degrees with a wind chill of minus 26, gusting to 45 kilometers an hour. So, in fact, Sunny, people do ride their bikes in the wintertime, even 72-year-old women. It would have been much more comfortable for me to get into my car, put on the heater, and drive here. Making tough decisions is what leadership is. When my husband, David, took the bus downtown yesterday to meet a friend for lunch, he noted 3 cyclists making their way across Queen Street. From their appearance, they were not out for recreation. And of course, this supports the comment that was just made by Councillor Santos. We have a wonderful system of paths and recreational trails throughout the city. People like these 3 cyclists could not access them for their destination. That's why they were braving them life and limb going along Queen Street. We have snow in the winter, we have flooding in the summer. That's why we need year-round, well-maintained, on-street, active transportation infrastructure. Speaking of budgets and costs, because that's the purpose of all these meetings is the city's budget, we have spent good money on well-researched and citizen-consulted plans for Brampton's current and future growth. And that's what we have to think about. We have to think about the future. Our 2040 vision, the Vision Zero, that's a regional program supported unanimously by Brampton, our Active Transportation Master Plan, the Brampton Plan, the Mobility Plan, all these unanimously supported by this council have laid out a path for our 800,000 population to grow to over 1 million. I've lived in this city for 48 years, so I have seen big changes, and I don't expect, whether cycling or driving, to be able to get to where I want to go the same time as it took me when the population in Brampton was 115,000 people. The additional 150,000 peak morning trips by 2051 require a mobility shift from cars to active transportation and transit. We have set sustainable mode share targets that will reduce future car travel by 70,000 trips. We have to look at encouragement to get us there. Not at where we are now, because where we are now is not where we're going to be by 2051, if I'm even still here by 2051. Comfortably driving our cars whenever we have a short trip to take. Brampton has an excellent AT planning staff that has the education and experience and use evidence-based decision-making, not anecdotal wanderings, to analyze and recommend what we need for future generations. Okay. Option number 5, to remove bike lanes on Howden costs not only the $337,000 it originally cost $1 million to plan and implement. This negates the dozens of hours that our staff have spent this last year on a piece of infrastructure we already have. Mayor Brown has previously indicated that removing parts of the AT network is not on the table without appropriate replacement. Removal of the Howden bike lanes would cut out a key piece of our east-west corridor. It would prevent young people from accessing the new youth hub on Vaudin, the new library, the rec center on Howden, and eastern access to Chinguacousy Park, some of the many destinations served by Howden. Should we be forcing people to drive to these locations? Supporting staff's preferred option 4, which is actually what my previous delegation was suggesting, is the fiscally, socially healthy option that provides the best solution for current and future generations. Thank you.
Councillor Santos.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much, Dale, for your delegation and your passion around active transportation. Couple of questions for you as someone who, okay, first question, are you a property taxpayer?
Yes, Councillor Santos, I'm actually expecting we're going to be paying $10,000 this year in property taxes.
Okay.
So when I say that I am supportive of things that the city is doing, I say that knowing I'm using my hard-earned retirement savings to pay for this.
Thank you. And are you a property taxpayer who knows other property taxpayers who are also using the infrastructure to commute by bicycle or scooter or wheelchair mobility devices?
I would have to say that everybody I know is, yeah, pretty much, I don't think in my inner circle, everybody I know is a property taxpayer.
Okay. And as a person who cycled here today in the blistering cold, I just want to say that this morning when I was dropping off my son to Turner Fenton at Kennedy and Steeles, when I was driving back, I noticed a couple of cyclists who were riding their bikes on Kennedy Road. They were not on the road. They were riding on the sidewalk, sadly, which is not allowed. However, they were riding their bikes as well, 2 of them. Next question is to you, but also probably to staff. How long have you been involved in the active transportation master plan? Does the work on the active transportation master plan and active transportation precede Mayor Brown?
Through you, Chair, I've been involved since since we started in 2013 and formed Bike Brampton, and in 2014, I'm now on my 3rd term of what was originally the Cycling Advisory Committee, and then now it's the Active Transportation Committee. So this is my 13th. So I guess, what is that? 13
Okay.
years. 13 years.
Thank you. And through Mayor, over to staff, if you could clarify how long the City of Brampton has been talking about and working on active transportation, creating more safer options for people to walk, roll, and ride their bikes.
Through the chair, formally, prior to the active transportation master plan, we actually had a bicycle facility implementation program that actually started in 2017. We brought a report to council, and prior to that, obviously the build up to that momentum and that formal process involved introducing bicycle lanes into our traffic calming program. So it's been quite a long time, but formally 2017 to this council, we brought a report relating to the bicycle facility implementation program.
Thank you. So there was reports and information and the network starting to establish before 2018, which was before Mayor Brown was elected, before I was elected, and many of the members on this council right now, way before we were serving on this council.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. With respect to just a question in terms of evidence-based, because Dale, you had mentioned evidence-based decision-making. For you, Dale, yeah, because you talked about evidence-based and data and decision-making. did you support the speed cameras?
Through the chair, 100% I supported the speed cameras, because not only am I a driver and a cyclist, I'm also a walker. And I cross conservation 4 times a day. And during the speed cameras, when they really did slow down to 50 on Conservation Drive, I could handily walk across the street the 4 times a day. And since the cameras have been turned, well, the ticketing has been turned off, my husband and I now have to sprint across the road because they're back speeding again. I'm sure, now this is one of these anecdotal things that I said we're not supposed to pay attention to. I'm sure there was somebody going along there at 80. And right now, of course, having just had the snowstorm, we've got snowbanks. So not only are we having to go down from a snowbank, scramble across the road before we get hit, we're having to scramble back up another snowbank on the other side. So, yes.
Thank you. And through you, Mayor Brown, just a quick question to staff. Were there any speed cameras along this particular corridor to deal with speeding cars? And and also what in this corridor, what speeding issues were before cameras were installed and even before road diets or the implementation of the bike lanes? Was it one of the bigger concerns along this corridor, speeding?
Through the chair to Councillor Santos, there were 2 cameras on Howden, one on Howden south of La France Road and one at east of Leander Street. And yes, they did achieve significant speed limit compliance at those times. We don't have the full data yet on the impact of the removal of the cameras for the specific locations. That's something we'll still be putting together. But there were speed compliance increases of approximately 80% and reductions of average speeds for around 13 kilometers per hour.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. So with no more speed cameras and potentially the loss of protection for cyclists using that corridor, it becomes a little bit less safe. And I would imagine speeding would again go back to levels that existed before the cameras were issuing tickets and before the bike lanes were put into place. I just want to make that point because this council, based on data and evidence, unanimously advocated to keep the cameras there in order to prioritize Vision Zero and vulnerable users of the road. So I really want to point that out because data and evidence-based decisions were made to advocate to keep the speed cameras, and data and evidence exists with respect to the bike lanes across the city of Brampton. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. No further questions.
Councillor Power.
Thank you through Mr. Mayor. Ms. Lang, thank you for your delegation and thank you for your advocacy for biking. Where do you live in the city?
I live in the Heart Lake area.
The Heart Lake area. Just one final question. If one makes a mistake, do you believe that they should own up to their mistakes and correct it?
I think you'll have to clarify that. Through the chair, you'll have to clarify.
Mistake. If you make a mistake, should you own it and correct it?
Generally, yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. I have a motion moved by Councillor Power, second by Councillor Santos, to receive the delegation from Dale Lang Bike Brampton. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, there's no additional delegations. So this takes us to our first departmental presentation, and I'm going to call up Public Works and Engineering. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor Brown and members of council. It's my pleasure to have the opportunity today to present the proposed 2026 Public Works and Engineering budget. I do want to extend my sincere gratitude to our entire team for their hard work and collaboration, including our partners in finance in preparing this comprehensive budget, and also to Mayor Brown and the Chair and Vice Chair, Councillor Visante and Councillor Keenan, for their continued support and leadership for Public Works and Engineering here at the City of Brampton. We can go to the next slide. Now here's a brief departmental overview. The Public Works and Engineering Department is comprised of 4 divisions, which include our building design and construction team, who deliver new facilities, major renovations across the city, our facilities operations and maintenance division that ensures all city facilities are safe and well maintained, our road maintenance operations and fleet team that ensure the city's road and traffic signal network, as well as vehicles, remain in a state of good repair while ensuring public safety, and our capital works team that manages large infrastructure projects, including major road, bridge, and sewer construction. In 2026, we're excited to highlight several key initiatives. These include the construction of new recreation centers across multiple locations, a new security services contract, fleet vehicle replacements to modernize our operations, and significant road construction projects to improve connectivity and capacity. Go to the next slide. Now, the Public Works and Engineering budget reflects the city's strategic priorities and will prepare the city for future prosperity and stability by supporting our community's health and well-being through advancing the design and construction of recreation centers and community spaces, by providing strong government and leadership through professional project management for construction projects and ensuring safety and security at city-owned buildings, by ensuring environmental resilience and sustainability, by improving energy efficiency in city facilities to meet GHG reduction targets and replacing gas-powered fleet vehicles with electric and hybrid vehicles to further lessen our carbon footprint, and by improving transit and connectivity by implementing the Brampton Mobility Plan, delivering major capital infrastructure projects such as new roads and bridges, improving safety through important initiatives such as traffic calming, and by providing critical winter maintenance services. We can go to the next slide. There are certain key factors that drive Public Works and Engineering, the budget, and they include adhering to legislative requirements, including compliance with minimum maintenance standards for municipal highways, AODA standards, and the Environmental Assessment Act. Aging infrastructure is also a critical consideration, and the budget will ensure that the city's infrastructure and facilities are maintained in a state of good repair, and that we can build new facilities and municipal infrastructure to meet the growing demand. And with the city of Brampton being one of North America's fastest growing cities, population growth and urban development is also a key focus within our budget proposal, with important initiatives aimed at moving people more efficiently while simultaneously increasing public safety and security while ensuring environmental sustainability. There are also obvious economic pressures impacting both our operating and capital budgets, and one key to ensuring efficiency in the delivery of our services is to continue leveraging technological advancements. And through this budget, the city is making investments in important technologies such as continued support for the advanced traffic management system and leveraging artificial intelligence aimed at automating the identification of deficiencies within the right-of-way, such as potholes, and assessing pavement conditions. We can go to the next slide. Now, on this slide, I'm pleased to outline the key priorities and constraints associated with our operating budget. These priorities include the continued implementation of traffic safety initiatives, maintaining a high level of security at city-owned properties and facilities, delivering winter maintenance operations to ensure public safety across our road network, ensuring city facilities are safe, well-maintained, and in compliance with all provincial regulations, and advancing the city's sustainable fleet strategy. Now, we do face certain constraints, including funding and capacity limitations that can challenge our ability to meet competing demands. The long-term replacement of aging infrastructure will require a continued focus on strategic planning and investment, and balancing service level demands and stakeholder expectations with available resources. But we believe that this budget puts us in a position to successfully meet these challenges. We can go to the next slide. Now, this slide here provides an overview of the proposed operating budget for Public Works and Engineering. It includes expenditures in the amount of $111 million. And you can see in the table, if we look at column number 4 there, that this is offset by $7.4 million in revenues and recoveries, resulting in a net operating budget of $103.7 million. Now, despite inflationary pressures and service demands, the base budget increase is limited to 2.8 million or 2.8% as compared to last year, as shown at the bottom of the last two columns. And this is primarily due to the loss of funding from ASC operations, along with increases in certain contracts such as the new security contract, and along with other pressures such as increasing hydro costs. This budget does propose one staff addition for a stormwater technician, but this will have a zero impact to the net operating budget because it will be funded through stormwater charges. And you will note an overall net loss of 2 positions in Public Works and Engineering because of the elimination of 3 positions that were associated with ASC operations. The team has worked very diligently to balance the inflationary and growth pressures in various operating accounts with the pressures we are facing, and Council's investment in public works is key in ensuring that the city's infrastructure and facilities can be effectively maintained to help ensure the safety of our commuters and citizens. We can go to the next slide. Now, this slide highlights some of the key public works and engineering capital projects. These projects will be instrumental in both addressing growth and driving future growth, improving safety, mobility, and enhancing efficiencies, and positioning us for future success. These key projects include Embleton Library, the Howden Community Center, and various facility repair and replacement projects. It also includes improvements to critical infrastructure such as bridge repairs, as well as some major road reconstruction and widening projects planned over the course of the next 5 years, including Clark Boulevard, Clark Way, Goreway Drive, Heritage Road, Intermodal Drive, McVean Drive, Williams Parkway, as well as continued investment in road resurfacing across the city. In addition to this, other highlights include facility inspections and audits, new street lighting infrastructure, security upgrades, and replacement of key equipment and vehicles. We can go to the next slide. Now, the department is instrumental in advancing road and transit infrastructure, enhancing active transportation options, and promoting investments in community facility safety and eco-friendly initiatives for a healthier and more sustainable city. As outlined in the previous slide, the Public Works and Engineering Department plays a pivotal role in supporting the Brampton 2040 vision and advancing multiple term of council priorities. The 2026 proposed capital budget is set at $99.5 million with a 5-year capital plan totaling over $700 million. And the table breaks down the details associated with each division over the 5-year horizon period. And we believe that we are well positioned to deliver this plan over this time period. We can go to the next slide. This slide just outlines our complete list of referred matters, and staff continue to work diligently on addressing this item within the timeline identified. And with that, it concludes our presentation, and happy to take any questions at this time.
Councilor Pelletier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you for the information. I think you answered my question about the new asks, but the 2024 asks for 2025. How many was that? What was your number for 2025?
Are you referring to new positions?
Yeah.
Through the chair?
Yeah.
It was eight positions.
8 position asked for in 2024 for the budget of 2025.
Correct.
And those were all filled?
Correct.
Okay. And then it's one new ask, you're saying, but it's covered off by the stormwater charge.
Through the chair, correct.
Where in here, if I take all of the public works budget, where in here does it tell me for 2026 we have X number of dollars that are for Embleton Community Center, and where in here does it tell me that we're budgeting for in 2026 for Embleton Community Center?
Give me 1 second. Details there.
Through the chair to Councilor Pelletier, the budgets for Embleton Community Center have already been approved. There is no further budgets in this submission.
How much has been budgeted for Embleton Community Center?
Through the chair to Councilor Pelletier, $148 million.
So we have 148 million that has already been budgeted. Where did that money come from? When was it budgeted?
It was through the chair to Councilor Pelletier. It was budgeted over many years. I believe most of it is DC's, 100 and something million, and then there is a city component. I can get the breakdown. I don't have it right in front of me.
And what's the DC reserve at?
After commitments, negative $224 million approximately.
Negative 224 million.
so approximately, yeah.
Because we've already budgeted X number of dollars. And how much budgeted capital do we have, that's coming out of the DC, reserve in total? Is it still, are we still looking at $1 billion? Not specifically for the DC reserve, but, how much, is it the $1 billion of capital unspent?
Yeah, through the chair, the unspent capital report was presented on November 20, if you give me 1 second, I think I have it here. I think it was 1.7 billion.
Through the chair, Councillor, it's around 1.5 to 1.6 billion.
So 1.5, 1.6
Yeah, the
billion,
unspent
yeah.
capital, that's already approved currently.
Okay.
Yeah, 1.4 billion.
And of that 1.5, 1.6, how much of that do we know is coming out of DC? DC revenues. Do we call DC's revenues?
Through the chair, I'd say approximately $350 million.
350 million of the 1.5 billion? Over how many years?
Until the project is complete. It's there for.
So we can, and I don't know this, truly don't know the answer to this, but, so let's say, we come up with a project, let's go Steeles. Steeles Avenue BRT. We're spending, we're collecting DCs for the expansion of BRT on Steeles for X number of years. How long do we look to, within our BC bylaw, how long do we start collecting DCs for that project?
Through the chair, the DC bylaw will cover the 10-year period, so we'll be collecting for all the projects in that 10-year period.
Can we continue to collect after the project has been built? And can that project be built by debt? And then pay debt back with DC revenue?
So, Council, we can borrow against the DC revenues.
Are we
And
borrowing
so-
from ourselves, Nash?
No, we would be
Okay.
externally borrowing.
Okay.
So for example, for the transit facility, in the budget, for example, we're borrowing $50 million for the transit facility to be repaid through transit DCs going forward.
Okay.
And so on. Of course, like when we do that, we really restrict ourselves in the future that these collected funds have to be directed specifically for that specific project rather like any other priorities that might come or if we choose to allocate any differently.
Right. Thanks, Nash. Thank you. Thanks, Peter. Sorry, Mark.
Sorry, through the chair, I was looking at the wrong column. It's actually closer to 550 to 600 million of commitments.
Of the 1.5 billion?
Yeah.
Okay, good. That's better. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, any other questions? Councillor Tour.
Thank you, through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Peter, for your presentation. Just have a question regarding the capital budget for roads, because I didn't see it on the list there, but I'm glad to see Countryside Drive improvements is still on the 2026 capital budget. But why do we not have something forecasted for the years after this one for Countryside? Because I know we're doing phase 1 right now, but I don't see it, the phase 2 being forecasted in the next 4 years. Just once.
Through the chair to Councillor Tour, there's a significant amount of land that still needs to be conveyed from developers and property owners in the area. If that land materializes, we're going to be working with our real estate team to continually monitor that. And if it becomes available within the 5-year period, we'll come back to this council in future budget submissions to request funding. But right now, it looks like that land won't be conveyed to the city within this 5-year horizon.
Okay. For Goreway Drive improvements, we have again $9 million for this year, but it's more for next year for $16.5 million. Can you just expand on what's the remainder of that capital work?
Sure. To the chair, the budget submission in 2027 for Goreway Drive includes a new section from Humber West to Cottrell Boulevard. So that's a new section of construction. That's going to be a reconstruction, including multi-use paths, signals. There's a bridge replacement in there as well. And that construction is anticipated to begin in 2027. 2026 is funding for the completion of the existing project, whose limits are from Cottrell to Countryside, as well as the grade separation project south of Steeles.
Is there either 2026 or 2027, are we budgeting for Goreway Drive improvements north of Countryside? Because I know that was still in the design phase, but.
Yeah, through the chair, I don't believe so, but I will maybe ask our senior manager of capital works to just confirm that.
Thank you, Peter. Through the chair, Goreway Drive north of Countryside is not within next 5 years. It's part of the budget rationalization process, so that will be for the later years.
Beyond that, okay. Okay, thank you for that. Those are my questions for roadworks. Peter, specifically for, I couldn't find the number here, but for our fleet or new vehicles that the city needs to purchase, how many are we budgeting for this year?
Through the chair to Councilor Tour, it's approximately $3 million, but let me just stuff, here it is. So,
How many of those are like light use vehicles, like your pickup trucks or smaller?
So we do have a budget of $3 million in 2026. It's for the replacement of aged and new assets. Give me 1 second here. So between 2026 to 2028, it includes 35 EVs, 25 plug-in hybrids. So that's over the next 3 years. Those are all light-duty vehicles. There's also 100 additional light-duty vehicles that are going to be purchased over the next 5-year period.
Okay, the reason I asked that is I know we had our audit last year, and we had identified underutilized vehicles that drove less than 5,000 kilometers a year. What have we done since then to make sure that we're not buying more vehicles than we need?
Through the chair to Councilor Tour, staff has been working very diligently with the various operating departments to ensure that we're fully utilizing all the existing fleet that we have. So I'll just point out that line item that I just referred to is under replacement vehicles. So this is, if you recall the presentation that we did last week, this is vehicles that are really getting beyond their useful life, and we're going to be replacing them. If you look at the line item that says new equipment and vehicles, it's only 140,000. So we're actually not bringing new vehicles to our fleet in any large degree next year for the very reasons that you're stating. We're working to ensure that all the vehicles are being fully utilized. And our fleet team is actually looking at the data and reassigning vehicles as required so that we get the most usage out of them.
And I know we had part of the audit, and later we had also discussed on keeping a better track of our fleet, on where our fleet is and how often it gets used, how much wear and tear it's on it, because that was all identified as deficiencies in the audit that we have, because that's what resulted last year for us to have 2 trucks that barely drove. The reason I ask these questions, I don't want to see new vehicles getting added onto the fleet till we I don't have the full picture on what's happened with that fleet and what the new ask is. So if maybe we can even get a breakdown of exactly where the fleet is, like where the fleet ask is, the new fleet. For light duty vehicles, I'd like to see that. If you can separate that by departments, divisions, what the purpose of those cars or trucks are going to be, I'd like to see that. In addition to that, there's 2 cars always parked in the council garage, and 2 electric hybrids that are, or fully electric cars that are, I haven't seen them move in the last 6 months, not an inch. So we have vehicles that are underutilized in the city. I'd really like to get a sense of what that existing fleet standard is and why do we need new vehicles at this time. So if you can just break that down by what departments need it, what the ask is, and what's happening with that. Beyond just the replacement vehicles that we need.
Through the chair to Councilor Tour, absolutely. We'll send you a summary of the information that you're requesting. Again, just to clarify, in terms of net new additions to our fleet, we are only budgeting $140,000 in 2026. The other $3 million figure was for replacement of vehicles that are aged. But in order to satisfy your queries, we'll send you a summary of that. And my team just advised me that the 2, just for clarity, the 2 vehicles are for enforcement in 2026, that $140,000. So perhaps I could refer to enforcement if you want a little bit more information in terms of the purpose of those 2 vehicles.
And not just specific to those 2 vehicles, the new vehicles, but just in general, every department, how many, like what's the fleet size going to be? That's including the replacement and the new vehicles. And if you can, please move those 2 cars out of the garage. We're having a tough time parking in there. There's 2 spots that are always occupied by cars that don't move.
Okay. Through the chair, Councilor Tour, absolutely. I just gave a look to my Director of Road Maintenance Operations and Fleet. We'll certainly look into that. And I just do want to underscore, our team has been working very diligently with respect to the management action plans associated with the fleet audit that you referred to. We're leveraging the information in our M5, our database system. They're closely monitoring all the repairs, which feeds into the life cycle analysis in terms of when vehicles should be replaced, and to the point that I made earlier, to ensure that vehicles are being fully utilized, and if they're not in any particular department, we're actually reassigning them to other departments, but we'll summarize that information and provide it to you.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Pleshy.
No.
Oh, sorry, Councillor, I've got Pleshy. No, Councillor Santos now.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, just a couple of questions for you, Peter. So the street lighting construction, does that include, or is there any budget allocated to street lighting on the various trails? There's some light issues on like Etobicoke Creek Trail, Fletcher's Creek Trail, Don Doan Trail that needs some replacement or repair. You don't have to answer today, maybe like bring it back when all the responses to the various questions come back.
Okay, thank you, Councilor Santos. I'll confirm that and we'll provide you with that
Great.
confirmation.
And then the other question is, and I don't know if it's in Public Works or if it's in Community Services, and if it is, I forgot to ask the question, wayfinding. Do we have budget, do we have money allocated in 2026 on wayfinding?
Through the mayor to Councilor Santos, we do have some wayfinding signage money. I just have to check. It's between 50 and 75,000, if I recall correctly.
Okay, great. And then I think that's it, because the other questions I had was actually in Community Services, so I'll just loop back later. Thank you, Peter.
Councillor Pleshy.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Peter. I forgot to ask for, I'll get into the weeds a little bit on the elevator upgrades at City Hall, the 286,000. What's that for?
Through the chair to Councilor Pleshy, you'll recall a request made at a previous council meeting just before Christmas.
Yep.
So that funding is focused on 2 objectives. The first objective is to rectify the security card reading issues that we have in the elevators. And the second one is to hire a consultant to basically do an assessment of the existing elevators to recommend either a refurbishment or replacement of the elevators at City Hall.
Sorry, can you repeat that last part?
Sure. An assessment of the existing elevators and recommend a strategy to either rehabilitate them or replace them based on their age. My understanding is those elevators are very old. I suspect that the recommendation is going to be to replace them, but we are going to conduct that assessment and then come forward with a recommendation.
Okay, can you put that on hold for a second? In 2015 or 16, we did the exact same thing. And it was recommended that, so the back wall of where the underground elevator is, it was recommended that there's, the way I think it was Kucherzola built this building, was that an elevator shaft could go on that outside. And so there was a whole security and go forward on where those elevators should go, even if we were to expand City Hall. So if we can dust that off, find it, try and look at that before paying for this. The other thing is the new readers in the elevators. I think the new readers in the elevators are on every floor. I think they seem to be working the readers. It's the buttons. I just think that the connection is not like. Listen, I'm not an elevator repair person, but they worked. Now they don't, and you got to press the button like 10 times just to get it to light up. Like, isn't it just a matter of pulling off the electrodes here, pulling off the electrodes and cleaning it off? Can you do that, Councillor Keenan? He's an electrician. I'm sure that's what. For $286,000, I don't want to hire anybody to tell us that the elevators are old and they need to be replaced. Please, they're old. They need to be replaced. But until we have the money to replace those elevators, get somebody in to clean off the electrodes. You take the stairs. Okay, can you report back on not spending that $286,000? Please. And the other thing is, Peter, for a number of years, we've been asking for, and we had an LED program, pilot program. It's currently across the city where we're changing streetlights to LED lights, and it's going. We didn't do like Mississauga did all in one shot. We did sectional and ongoing. But we've been also looking to change the lights in a lot of our pathways because they're the old dim yellow lights that have the big glass bubbles on them that they don't do really anything. Specifically on the Etobicoke Creek down by Loafers Lake north to Conservation, the path that veers off behind Don Ridge Trail and goes up to Conservation. Either the lights don't work or they're so dim that they need to be replaced. I think it's 1.5 million is what was what staff had indicated to us to replace those lights. And from my understanding, that money was already budgeted for path replacement programs and with lightings and the questions that I asked going back to prior to 2020. But now all of a sudden it doesn't seem to be, the money doesn't seem to be there, and I don't think it's in this budget. And those lightings are a huge safety concern and need to be 1.32 million just for design and construction of the paths. Trail highlighted 1.06 million. Is there any money in here to put up new lights?
Through the chair to Councillor Peleschi. So when we look at construction of new infrastructure, you'll notice in the budget there is funding available starting in 2027 in a number of areas. But what I think we'll do is, this is related to the request that Councillor Santos made earlier, is we'll provide a comprehensive summary with respect to maybe some historical information and sort of itemize what the next 5-year plan is, what those locations are. There was obviously trade-offs and considerations that had to be given to fitting within the envelope, but we'll identify exactly how this $5.5 million over the next 5 years is going to be spent on youth street lighting for council's awareness.
Okay, thank you for that. The other question that I had with relation to Sandalwood, Sandalwood was going through when 7 and 8 did the Dixie Road new noise walls. Sandalwood, we were looking at Sandalwood. We did a whole design. We went out to the community. We asked the community what they wanted. They provided input. And from my recollection, again, there was money allocated, maybe not the total amount, but there was money allocated to the sound walls for Sandalwood from, I don't know if it was east of the 410, but mainly west of the 410 to here, Ontario at least. We've been asking the question, where the money go, and it doesn't seem to be around any longer.
Again, through the chair to Councillor Pelletier, I don't have that historical context, but what I can do is we could look into that. If we could trace back if there was any transfer and provide you with that information.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Santos.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I had one question I forgot to ask, which is in relation to security and safety. And a number of residents have asked me specifically whether or not we can utilize the ASE cameras or whatever, because we're looking at using them to help police. Is there a possibility for us to also use those cameras to help on trails, or, for example, attach it to a community center like Chris Gibson that faces the trail in the park as a safety matter? Is there an opportunity for us to look at that?
Through the chair, Councillor Santos, I know our legislative services department in conjunction with Public Works is going to be bringing a report forward with respect to the reutilization of the AC cameras. So we'll certainly look into the possibility of utilizing them for that objective that you just stated and report back on that.
Councillor Tour.
Thank you, Mayor Brown. Peter, Councillor Santos' question just reminded me. The 50 intersections that we're supposed to have the 360-degree cameras and the license plate readers, what's the status of that right now?
So through the chair to Councillor Tour, we have cameras installed at approximately 24 intersections right now. We continue to complete the construction and civil works in a number of the intersections, and we expect that project to be totally complete. All the cameras installed, including license plate recognition cameras with a live feed to the police by the end of the first quarter of this year, and it'll be complete by that time.
Were we supposed to complete this last year?
Through the chair to Councillor Tour, we were. That was the objective. We ran into some delays associated with a lack of power supply in some of the locations, so it caused a delay to the project. We're working as quickly and diligently as we can to complete it as soon as possible.
So once we will find out later during this quarter when the installation is fully complete.
Correct. Once it's fully complete, we'll advise council. I will also point out that we do have cameras that are installed at various intersections throughout the city as part of that project, and they have actually contributed in 108 investigations thus far. So although the project is not totally complete, it's already bearing fruitful results and demonstrates that this was a wise investment by this council.
Excellent. Thank you. That's good information to share. Thank you.
Yeah. So to hear that again, you assisted in 108 police investigations?
Correct, through the mayor.
That's really impressive. And only half the cameras are up. Well, at the time we said the goal is to make Brampton the most inconvenient place in the country to commit a crime. I hope that gets out, that, there's a high level of visibility for digital evidence in Brampton. And so maybe through strategic comms, we can help those who commit crime know what a horrible place Brampton is to commit a crime. Thank you for that update. Thank you for that question, Councillor Tour. I don't see any other questions. Are there any online? No? So a motion moved by Councillor Tour, second by Councillor Power to receive the Public Works presentation. All those in favor? Motion carries. Okay, our next presentation is corporate support services.
Thank you, Mayor Brown, and I'm pleased to present the proposed 2026 operating and capital budgets for corporate support services. The budgets demonstrate our continued commitment to supporting and enhancing city operations with excellence, innovation, and fiscal responsibility. Our departments comprised of finance, human resources, information technology, strategic communications, tourism and events, organizational performance and corporate policy, the equity office, and Service Brampton, our 311 office. Corporate support services provides a fundamental function to the city to support council's priorities and those of our various departments, along with providing critical services for an organization to function, grow, and thrive. Next slide, please. Next again. Thank you. So we have a number of goals for the department that focus on maintaining our current service levels while meeting the demands of our growing city services, including financial stewardship, adopting innovative technologies to protect city systems as we implement the 3-year council-approved technology roadmap, delivering phase 2 of the 311 modernization project that will enhance our customer service and ticket tracking for residents, and effectively communicating and consulting on city services and programs with our diverse communities and stakeholders to strengthen Brampton's brand identity and community partnerships. Next slide, please. Some of our budget drivers are focused on maintaining service levels, addressing growth-driven priorities, and leveraging innovative solutions to enhance service delivery. And the highlights include various legislative requirements, technological advances, and a corporate awards and recognition program. Next slide, please. For the operating budget highlights, our AI proof of concepts to scale and improve business processes and reduce the cost of operations. We'll continue to digitize and automate processes where possible. Maturation of our license and vendor management function will seek savings across the board. In finance, we have 2 positions, administrator pension and clerk accounts receivable and collection. And we'll also be working on the new DC study this coming year. In human resources, we'll be working to strengthen recruitment and onboarding, strengthen the health, safety, and especially disability management practices to improve employee well-being, facilitate timely returns to work and cost avoidances in the WSIB space, and advance succession readiness to support our evolving organization. Next slide, please. We also have an additional FTE for digital and video production in strategic communications. We're in the realm of 350 videos produced internally each year. It's almost 1 a day. And so certainly from a scale and volume perspective, that will support what we produce to support council and council's priorities. In the equity office, we'll be advancing the recommendations of the Black Community Voice consultation to council and development of the anti-Black racism 5-year action plan, and various other priorities to advance inclusive space for both employees and our community members. In Service Brampton, we're going to be, as I mentioned, phase 2, and this includes a number of self-service elements with ticketing and tracking dashboard to assist both residents and council members get a better lens on how matters are resolved by the city for their needs. Next slide, please. So in terms of the numbers, the operating budget is $106.9 million for the department. And next slide, please. And for our capital highlights, predominantly in information technology in 3 buckets, our core technology program, which is really the work that IT does for all the departments, that just helps operations proceed. That's 4.8 million in capital, preventative maintenance of $500,000, and then a corporate technology program, which is really the technologies that IT delivers on behalf of requests from the department, and that's from various departments, and that's 2.4 million. And so I just want to thank our corporate budget and finance team, our leaders, Mark Nash, Chenna, Med, Natalie, Isa, Shanika, and Roma for their leadership of their divisions, and then for all the frontline team members that help contribute to this budget and the outcomes within it. Thank you, and I'll take any questions.
Questions? First, Councillor Santos.
Thanks so much through you, Mr. Mayor. Jason, great presentation. Quick question, is it your birthday today?
There's nowhere I'd rather be.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Councillor Palashi.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Jay. Jason, under the Marquee Festival sponsorship funding, it's going up $30,000. You know, we talk about this being a difficult year. All the Marquee festivals, that went up huge dollars from 2024 to 2025. Like, I don't think it's a good time for something like this to go up $30,000. Do you know why we're adding that amount? Is there new events?
I will double check. My understanding is in the past, council's approved that we'd add one a year.
We always
so
add.
It's, yeah,
At the
so
last
it's
minute,
to
we always
add,
add, and
so
tell
that
you to
would be
find the
the
money.
amount that would go to a new
You're
one.
doing some preventative work where you assume we're going to, which is a good assumption, because every year we add. It's gotta be a time where we don't add anymore. Like, if it's up to me, it's not my budget, but if it's up to me, I'd reduce it, go back to 645. It's a difficult year. So, hey, council, stop adding, right? The other question that I have with this new hire and the dollars going into video production and all of that. So overall, what's the budget of video production and the people associated with those labor costs as well?
Thanks, Councillor. I'll have to get back on a number with that through the chair. I know we do a mix, obviously, of internal and external to ensure full coverage, but I can get back with some details.
Yeah, important for communications, but I'd also like to see, you know, what actually are we spending here? Because in the council budget, there's more dollars, and that's a significant increase in the council budget as well. Is going towards the advertising and promotions. So, in order to, you know, scrutinize this budget the best way possible, we need to find out some of that information as well. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And just to add on that note, I want council to know motions like that would be welcome anytime we can find savings. If or 30,000 more for marquee festivals and events, and we can reduce that. On the Monday, when I believe we're doing motions, that would be something that we'd certainly encourage as we all sharpen our pencils to find additional savings. Just know if we do that, it means if there's a new event that we have sort of removed that opportunity. I think you've been frank about that. So next question is Councillor Power.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Jason, 3 positions, where are they? They're full-time positions?
Yeah, 3 full-time. One is the specialist video production. There's a clerk, accounts receivable in finance, and then administrator pensions in finance as well.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
And I believe there's another a net zero design, graphic design.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Are there any questions online from the councillors? No.
$30,000 for the night market through the chair is what we've committed to that through the events team.
Just for the market, if I.
For the night market.
For the
What
night
about
market.
what about movie night in Mount Pleasant? Because that one was like huge, like packed.
I'll double check. I'm not sure that's through the events team, but let me double check.
So what is the additional 30,000 for?
It's not additional, it's budgeted for the night market in Mount Pleasant that occurs annually. So it's been part of the events budget for, I think we started it last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep, and it works, right? So it's going well, but movie night is what I'd like to. Who are we pointing at?
Yeah, the movie nights are very popular. Is there a question about that?
Yeah, how much is budgeted for movie nights? Is it still in there?
Through the mayor, I don't know that information. I'll have to get back to you.
Okay, I need it, yeah, okay.
But it's still in there, right?
We don't know that.
It has not been cut to my awareness, no. It should still be there from last year.
That's not an answer, but I'll wait for you to.
I will confirm.
Thank you.
And then to the other question, we had one FTE in finance last year and it's filled.
I knew that, thank you. Great job, Jeff.
Okay. Seeing no other questions, we have a motion moved by Councillor Palashi, seconded by Councillor Deputy Mayor Singh to receive the presentation from Corporate Support Services. Thank you, Jason. All those in favor? Motion carries. This takes us to planning, building, and growth management. Commissioner Ganesh.
Good morning, Mayor Brown and members of council. It is my pleasure to present to you, those in the audience and those who may be listening online, the proposed 2026 operating and capital budget for the Planning, Building, and Growth Management Department. Next slide, please. As you know, the department is focused on delivering council's priorities for our residents and businesses, with the outcome of ensuring Brampton is a complete and connected community where people can live, work, and play. Our amazing leadership team behind us, or behind me, in the audience is charged with delivering the services that we have come to rely on. Everything from development application review, policy planning, overseeing the planning and construction of our downtown, environmental planning and engineering approvals, and building permit issuance and inspections. Next slide, please. Our proposed budget for 2026 aligns with the mayor's direction to focus on affordability and financially disciplined approach to service delivery. The most significant internal driver for the department is the structural operating impact of development application fee rightsizing. Council will recall in 2025, there were changes to our development application fees to align with provincial requirements and reflect municipal benchmarks. This has created a structural shift in our operating budget, and I'll walk through that in more detail in a few slides to come. At the same time, we continue to absorb ongoing provincial legislative change that is increasing implementation and compliance requirements in an effort for us to secure funding from other levels of government. And all of this is occurring within the broader affordability and economic conditions affecting investment confidence and development patterns. Together, these drivers shape the goals of this budget, focused on modernizing our processes to cut red tape and enhance the customer experience while maintaining our core levels of service. Next slide, please. The department's proposed 2026 operating budget reflects the fact that we are operating in a different economic and development environment, where financing constraints, construction costs, and the broader market conditions are influencing project viability for our investors. While application volumes over the past year have slightly softened, workload has not declined. In fact, proportionately, we have larger, more complex files that continue to dominate staff time for review, inspection, and final approval towards permit issuance. I should note that many of the development application types driving some of our city building initiatives, such as new housing and employment, are relatively steady at an annual approximate average of 170 applications a year. And we continue to see applications in areas like Heritage Heights, Area 47, and more in our downtown. In addition, through council's leadership in this term of council, there has been significant strides in cutting red tape, whereby we continue to be ranked the fastest city with a population greater than 250,000 people for development approvals. We've streamlined our processes to make life easier for staff and customers through removal of unnecessary steps and precinct planning processes, and we've delivered key initiatives to incentivize growth, everything from the issuance of surety bonds and streamlining the subdivision assumption process. All this to say, this budget responds with deliberate financial discipline, including a detailed line-by-line operating review, targeted cost reductions, controlled staffing, adding no new FTEs, while maintaining our service levels that residents and businesses have come to expect. Next slide, please. In 2025, Council approved $40.6 million in labor, $6.6 million in other costs, and $45.9 million in revenues. However, actuals came in at $35.7 million in labor, $6 million in other expenditures, and $33.7 million in revenues, reflecting slower hiring, modest operating savings, and lower revenues from the fee changes resulting from the right sizing of development application fees, and some modest reduction in application volumes. For 2026, we're proposing a reset of the budget to reflect these realities, with a labor budget of $39.2 million, other expenditures of $6.5 million, and revenues of $41.5 million, to better align resources, service delivery, and financial sustainability. Next slide, please. Now over to capital. Thanks to an investment from the province's Housing Enabling Water Systems Fund, our environment and development engineering team will be positioned to accelerate critical stormwater investments in 2026 that will reduce flood risk, protect neighborhoods, and strengthen resilience of our infrastructure. These investments are focused in two areas. The first, stormwater restoration, where we'll be fast-tracking pond dredging, erosion repairs, and watercourse maintenance. And the second, in stormwater asset management, accelerating our inspections to prevent failures and before they become emergencies. Next slide, please. Downtown revitalization remains a key focus in the city's capital program in 2026, and we are well positioned to deliver what council has approved and funded. Strong momentum was built in 2025 by advancing major capital projects from planning into construction, reducing project risk, and ensuring capital dollars are positioned to flow as intended. This included advancing many of the key projects that you see on the slide before you, and we can't forget the significant efforts to deliver game-changer projects such as commencement of the Riverwalk and the collaborative work we continue to do to lift the special policy area in our downtown, unlocking much-needed growth for areas like the Center of Innovation and Heritage Theatre Block. Next slide, please. Lastly, we have a bundle of capital projects to support city building. These projects and initiatives advance significant planning and policy groundwork completed over the past year, while ensuring the city remains aligned with an evolving provincial policy environment. Together, these bodies of work support the necessary growth we need for responsible growth, complete communities, and to ensure the city remains competitive for investment. Next slide, please. This slide focuses on how the 2026 capital program is funded. Less than 15% of the department's 2026 capital budget is tax supported. The majority of our capital investments this year are funded through the stormwater charges and senior government grants and contributions. Stormwater charges are a dedicated service-based funding source tied directly to the stormwater and environmental infrastructure. They are not general tax revenues, and they allow the city to fund critical drainage, flood mitigation, and climate resilient work, while reducing pressure on the property tax base. In addition, we continue to leverage federal and provincial grants to support major infrastructure and city building initiatives wherever possible. Taken together, this means 2026 is being delivered in a financially disciplined way, advancing important infrastructure and city building priorities, while keeping the tax-supported proportion intentionally limited. Next slide, please. Over the past year, significant groundwork was laid. Major policy frameworks advanced, systems modernized, and city building priorities positioned us to move forward. In 2026, that body of work continues on two parallel tracks. The first, delivering visible projects on the ground, and secondly, advancing strategic city building initiatives to sustain growth and protect the city's long-term interests. On the operating side, this budget responds to a structurally different revenue environment. This budget is built on redesigning how we work to ensure affordability and long-term sustainability. On the capital side, 2026 is a construction-focused year, with major downtown projects moving forward, balanced with key investments to advance city's planning framework, maintaining provincial conformity, and strengthening evidence-based decision-making. Taken together, the proposed 2026 budget reflects a department that is managing complexity responsibly, investing strategically, and continuing to translate council direction into tangible results. With that, I thank you for your time, and myself and my leadership team are here to answer any questions.
Okay, I see some questions. Councillor Peleshi's first.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thanks, Steve. The one question I had, just with the base operating growth in the 2026, is the CIP for major office employment tax increment equivalent grant, 201,000. Can you explain a little bit more detail? I wasn't able to find more information on that.
Yeah, through the chair, to Councillor Pleshy, thanks for that question. So council, I believe a year or so ago, has approved community improvement plan, and TEAG, tax incremental equivalent grant, is one of the tools in that toolbox. There was a successful application that has been approved, it's come to council, and now we are actually paying for it. So effectively what's happened is the development has occurred, the assessment growth has increased, the developer has paid us, and as part of this program, we reimburse them a proportion of that, and that reimbursement declines over time. So this is the first of, I think, what you'll see recurring every year, yeah.
So, but it's been paid to us.
We have to reimburse.
We're paying it back.
Yes, that's the program, is that they pay their taxes, but then we reimburse them a percentage, and it decreases over a 10-year period. And then after 10 years, they end up, they're responsible for the full tax.
And they're done, okay. Okay. Steve, you have, in 2024 to 2025, you asked for, I thought it was more than 18, but it says here 18 added new, is it FT or NP part-time, or is it both?
Yeah, through the chair, in 2024, we had asked for 17 FTEs. All of those are filled. In 2025, we asked for 18 FTEs. 17 of the 18 are filled. Now, I'll remind council that of the 18, 7 of the FTEs were a result from the downloading of the land use planning function from the region of Peel. And I understand, and the treasurer can correct me if I'm wrong, we're still in some discussions with the region to get our share, proportionate share of those 7 positions.
And so how many overall from the ask are being cut out of this year?
Through the chair, through to Councilor Peleshy, we're not adding any new positions to the base for this year's budget.
You're not adding any new?
New.
But you had unfilled, and those aren't being carried over?
Yeah, so through the chair to Councillor Pleshy, there are no cuts through this budget. The positions that are in the base are being reviewed, but this budget does not change those 7 positions.
You're not cutting any positions out of, for 2026?
Okay, through the chair, I think we need legal advice.
Through you, Mr. Chair, if we are going to be discussing labor issues, then I suggest that an option would be to go in camera under section 239 sub 2D if we're going to be delving into this, just for confidentiality reasons.
Happy to. Before we do, I'll ask, and this, maybe it's more Mark and Nash, in looking through planning, and being a part of planning, and I think everybody would recognize, like, where planning was and where it is today. Everything's been, moving extremely well, in terms of, right across the board. But I see a lot of red X's in the planning budget documents, and I don't know what these X's are for. Like, I understand they got the table of contents. It's a yellow arrow, red X, blue circle, green check mark. Like, from an outsider looking in, and when I see a red X, that it needs improvement, you know, I would, like, from an outsider looking in, I would say, you know, Steve, your team isn't doing your job. But what can planning do about the new housing supply? Like, we're almost setting ourselves up, and it goes for all the other departments too. I know how well we're doing in some of these areas, but yet, like, a lot of these things are not in our hands, not in our control, but we're getting a red X from finance. But that's, right? That's what it looks like.
Through the chair, through to Councillor Pelletier, maybe I'll start and then I'll pass it over to Mark and Ash. So the X's, the check marks, and the symbols for steady as she goes, if you will, are basically reflective of the KPIs and the strategic plan that each department head is charged with delivering. So to your point, you know, we signed a housing pledge to hit 113,000 new housing units by 2031 at roughly 11,000 housing units a year. That we've done a lot together, both as a staff and council, to enable that, but we can't control what the market realities are.
How many houses did you build this year?
In
How many houses did planning staff build this year?
In 2020,
How
2025.
much property did you purchase? Where did you didn't build any houses. We helped support everybody else that wanted to build houses. Why do we have a red X for, was it in our control?
So through the chair to Councillor Pelletier, so that portion of the budget binder was added a few years ago, and it's a collaboration between departments and the organizational performance team. Departments were the ones that selected their own KPIs and the measurements, and so we just simply extract and report on that on an annual basis. It was a recommendation actually through, I believe, the GFOA, that our budget include key performance indicators. And I think it's been a few years now, but I'll pass it off to Jason.
I'm supportive of performance indicators when they're within our control. Setting us up for failures, like, you know, you have organizations that go out and criticize us on social media, but yet, how are we controlling?
Makes sense, Councillor, and through, in the past, and maybe we can take this as a takeaway, I know in the past, we've kind of had two buckets of within our control and more advocacy related, and we can maybe do some more work to delineate that in the future, similarly to, as we've done sometimes in the past with maybe the future strat plan that we develop with the next term. We can keep that in mind with the group.
I appreciate that, Jason. And like, my question that I want to ask for every single one of these in the book, whether it's yellow or red, why? Right? I'm not going to do that during budget. I assume that we're going to come out with, you know, some following up reports to indicate, you know, why, what's going on in the world. And we've had reports, and so I understand a lot of them, but that's something else that, you know, we should try and just do better, I think. Like, it's, and it was previous years, but not even this council, but I was certainly part of it. But maybe if we can change that, I'd appreciate it.
Sure, we can take that away. Thank you.
Thanks. As for the in-camera discussion, happy to ask those questions in camera and others across the other departments. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, and just to note, I think out of fairness for planning, a lot of the financial challenges the planning department face are because of provincial policy that change the financial dynamics and put cost pressures on planning. When you change development charges based on occupancy instead of building permit, there's a huge reality there. When there are the changes at the regional level, there was not mandatory dollars sent across, and there's a dispute on the number of dollars. And so those are just two examples of many where provincial policy hits the road in terms of our own reality at City Hall. But we appreciate how planning is helping navigate those challenges. Looking at the board, we don't have any other questions. It's the will of council. Do you want to go in camera today for questions on, if you want to do it across departments about HR issues, maybe we consolidate it into one day. Yeah. Create a working list. Yeah. So maybe we stop here today, and we'll plan a time with council for when we can go in camera, and council can prepare their questions for any HR or in-camera related matters to ask any of the departments at that time. Okay, so on that note, we'll adjourn today's budget meeting, and thank you again to all the staff who helped prepare this budget so diligently.